This is Head Bustin' Boxing. We are back in the house to talk about Gary Russell Jr. calling out Tank Davis. And we're going to go to a boxing scene article. Shout out to the boxing scene. And it says, Russell, Gervonta hasn't fought nobody, couldn't deal with me. So let's get to it. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm going to stick with the quotes. It says, it's very possible that they wouldn't fight me. Speaking of, I guess, Mayweather and TMT? The money team? Yeah. Russell said, but it's definitely a possibility. The question is, will Floyd and them actually be willing to put him in the ring with me? End quote. And he also goes on to say, as far as the fight is concerned, easy work. Russell said, he hasn't fought nobody. Who has Gervonta fought? He fought a whole lot of nobodies. People that as soon as he hit them, they fall. I mean, but you can kind of say the same thing about Lomachenko for the most part. But I agree with what he's saying. Tank really hasn't fought, nobody to clamor about. He hasn't fought anybody that gave him any type of opposition at all. Fights are won off of intellect, not just off of being strong. I tell people, boxing is an intellect manifested on the physical form. In most cases, the more educated person should win. Not the strongest, not the biggest, not the tallest. I can agree with that to a certain degree. But certain people are freaks though, but I get what he's saying. The smartest person should win. There's no way in hell that Gervonta Tank Davis has the intellect, the hand speed, or even the ring generalship to deal with me. After about 3-4 rounds, he'll be lost. He wouldn't know what to do. That's a pretty bold statement. I'm not sure if I can agree with that. I think Tank's physicality might prove him wrong. But he goes on to say, I personally know Gervonta, Russell said. I've known him as a youngster, up and coming fighter, when I was already competing in the Olympics and all of that other stuff. He was still amateur. He wouldn't come on, he would come to the tournaments and stuff like that. I'm just glad that he's in the position because he stayed consistent enough. A lot of these people in the sport of boxing, they tend to fall off before they reach the pinnacle of where they could actually go. I'm just glad that he was consistent enough to continue to grind and stay on the path that he was on when he was a little kid. Now he's grown up. He became a world champion, and now he put himself in a position to provide for his family, his friends, and his loved ones. I think that's cool in itself. That's all I can ask for from the people who's in my ethnic group, to be able to provide for their families the way that they would want to. And he goes on even more to say, that's some sucker ass shit. Russell said, if you want me to be candid, how can you possibly be a champion when you're ducking anybody? That don't make sense to me. That's not the attitude of a champion. He's talking about them putting him in the ring with Lomachenko. So his team has already came to an agreement that, okay, well, this guy might be too much for him, or we don't want to take this fight at this time. That doesn't make sense to me. I remember when they first asked him about Lomachenko, he was a world champion at the time, and he stated himself, I don't think I'm ready for that as of yet. Now, I have mixed feelings about that, as far as the whole Tank Lomachenko thing. I can understand them grooming him. Tank is still pretty young. Some fighters are not the same after they lose. So I think they want to make sure Tank's confidence level is at a supreme maximum high when he fights Lomachenko. They want to make sure they got all the kinks out and that he's in prime condition mentally and physically to take on Lomachenko. So I get it. But at the same time, you know, you can't say he's the next this, he's the next that. And you see other guys, I mean, now mind you, most of the top fighters right now, they didn't really hit their stride the way, you know, or whatever, the way we look at them now, until their mid to late 20s. Like Errol Spence, you think about it, Errol really started being what we see as of today. And I'm not saying he wasn't whooping people all the way up to now, but I'm saying like the Errol Spences, the Keith Thurmans, well, I'm just gonna say Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, guys like that. They wasn't fighting top guys or pound for pound guys at the age of 22, 23. That's really what you're asking to Tank. That's rare that you're going to see a guy that young fight somebody that's a pound for pound guy. The only person I can even think of recently anyway that was put in that position was Canelo, and he failed miserably. And a lot of people will argue Canelo is the best fighter pound for pound. Now, I'm not making no excuses for Canelo. I'm not making no excuses for Tank. All I'm saying is I can understand you're still talking about a guy 22, 23 years old. It's not like you're just asking him to fight a champion. You're asking him to fight a guy that's supposed to be the best fighter pound for pound in the world. And on top of that, some fighters are not the same after they lose. And you're talking about a young guy who could be more fragile psychologically than most. Because I ain't gonna front, Tank does seem to be a little on the bugged out side too. But that's just my opinion. So I can understand on both sides. If you claim to be this, that, and the third, then put them in the ring with the best. Especially when you see Teofimo Lopez, who's roughly Tank's age, calling out Lomachenko, begging for a fight, insulting him, doing anything he can to try to get that fight popping. So I understand what he's saying, and who knows, maybe they would throw him in the ring with Gary Russell Jr. I would like to see that fight. I would like to see Tank versus Lomachenko. I think both of them would be exciting. Anyway, he says, how much more ready do you need to be? You're a world champion. That doesn't make sense to me. That shows me something in your character. In your character, it's a kink in your armor. That's a sign of weakness to me, to Mr. Gary Russell Jr. That's something that'll be exploited in that square. I would exploit that, so if Floyd and Leonard want to send Gervonta out there, then I would welcome it with open arms. And he says also, you've got to understand this is how these promoters and managers are making their money off of these fighters, Russell said. As soon as the fighter take a loss, they don't have the ability to generate the revenue of that individual no more. They're walking cattle to some of these promoters and managers. They don't look at these fighters like people. I mean, I can't really speak on that. I'm not a boxing promoter. I could see that being possible. I hope that's not the case, but I could see that being possible. But I don't agree with the fact that once a guy loses, you can't promote him the same. Some guys' paths aren't like others. You will have guys that have 4 or 5 losses, but would have been in there with any and everybody. But the way people, it's not, to me, it ain't even the promoters. It's the fans. The fans are so shallow these days, and maybe it's because of Mayweather, who knows. But like with Adrian Broner, and I'm not saying Broner might be washed up, so I'm not defending him at all. But when Broner had 2 losses, you was hearing the same thing you hear now. Broner washed up, Broner done, Broner this, Broner that. You know, if a guy take 2 or 3 losses on their resume, people look at them as if they're washed up, as if they're trash. You didn't have that back in the day, especially when you're fighting competitive fights. You win some, you lose some. It's rare that people go undefeated. some of the all-time greats, top 10 boxers all time, Muhammad Ali and whoever else your favorite boxer is, Evander Holyfield, Sugar Ray Leonard, whoever. These guys took losses. So no, I don't feel like if you take some losses, 1 or 2 or 3, that you're washed up. To me, that's ridiculous. I would say that about matter of fact, you know, a comment I got the other day, a brother, and I appreciate you dropping a comment, but he said he don't see the Lomachenko-Mikey fight being that great of an idea. And I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said. Please forgive me if I misrepresent what you said, but the way I took it, like, he was saying if Mikey and Lomo fight now and Lomachenko beat him, they just go say Mikey was a bum because he lost to Errol Spence. I beg to differ. Fact of the matter is, Mikey shouldn't have been in that fight. He went up 2 divisions high. You can say we fought at 140, yeah, I get it. But that was one time. He moved up 2 weight classes and fought a much bigger guy. To me, that does not make him a bum for losing to Errol Spence Jr. I don't give him no credit for finishing the fight either. That's a fight you should have been in the first place. So even if he would have got knocked out, it wouldn't have meant nothing to me because you shouldn't have been in that fight anyway. I look at the Carol Brook Triple G fight the same way. All that, if anything, that was worse because you put more wear and tear on your body by getting your face cracked up. But anyway, back to this article before I lose it a little bit. Because I don't understand how people feel like 1 or 2 losses or 3 and a guy's a bum. You could have a guy back in the day might have 5 losses and still could be a top contender or a champion depending on when them losses come. Anyway, Russell says, so you know, if they want to continue to feed Tank these low quality fights with people that really going to give him no competition at all, I mean, that's good because he can build his fan base up. He's running through these guys, he's running them over and everything, but what happens when he competes against someone that's going to try, just attempt to try? Alright, and that's pretty much it. Now, like I said, I agree with some of the stuff he's saying. It's time to step it up. But here's the thing. He sort of has the same problem Lomachenko has to a certain degree. It's only a couple people in that division, in that 130, 135 range, that people's going to say, you know what? Okay, I give him props for beating that guy. It's only a couple people. Most of the guys that are really known in that lower weight class division, you know, featherweight, lightweight, you know, range, is at 126. Now, if you at 130, call some of them dudes up. That's what I thought Lomachenko should have did. Matter of fact, he was at 126, and I'm not trying to make this about Lomachenko, but I'm saying, when he was at 126, he should have snatched some of them guys up and stole some of their soul and slapped it on his resume, because that's really what you do. You want to take people like a Leo Santa Cruz, a Carl Frampton, a Scott Quigg, guys like that. You put them on your resume and then move up, because essentially that's what he wanted to do anyway. I think Lomachenko's career, because he started so late, should have been all about big fights and getting titles. Now you're getting the titles, but you're fighting people that most people looking to say, okay, that was a champion, but they ain't even the best in the division. And Tank is having that same problem. Yeah, you got 2 titles, well, you won 2 titles, but look who you beat to get the belts. So that's why I said he kind of has the same problem with Lomachenko. He's going to have to scratch and call some of these dudes up from 126 or maybe 135. Whoever, you're going to have to get a Tevin Farmer in the ring. You're going to have to get a fight with Lomachenko at some point. You're going to have to maybe get some of these guys like a Gary Russell Jr. or Leo Santa Cruz in the ring, or Scott Quigg, whoever. You're going to have to pull that off. But one thing Tank got going for him that Lomachenko doesn't is his age. 2 years from now, Tank will have more competition with a Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. I mean, he has guys that's coming up with him. That's in his Devin Haney. You got Rolly out there. I mean, this guy's his age that's gonna grow with him. That's why, truth be told, Lomachenko need Tank more than Tank need Lomachenko, because it's going to be other great fighters for him to fight. 2 or 3 years from now, Lomachenko might be out of here. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I mean, he's in great shape, so you never know. But the point is, it's more urgent for Lomachenko to have bigger fights, to me, than it is Tank. But they do need to put Tank in there with somebody that's more credible at the end of the day. You're not going to get the credit that you really deserve, especially being a black fighter like that. Lomachenko can get away with that. Tank, you're not going to be able to. You're going to have to get in there. And that's not a racist thing. Well, actually it is. But that's just how it is in boxing. Just like with Ryan Garcia. It's going to be an easier road for him because he has the white skin complexion. That's just how it is. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. Anyway, this is Head Buster Boxing. I got this off of the boxing scene. Go check them out. I'll put the link in the description. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I am out.